Ohio's unemployment hotline frequently receives more than 10,000 calls per day.
Thank you for calling the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services Office of Unemployment Insurance Operations.
But the big question, how many of those calls are being answered?
Lots of back and forth, lots of getting kicked off the helpline just because they're already overloaded at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Melinda Good was one of several who alerted me that she repeatedly couldn't get through. When I tried to call the hotline on the morning of March 14th,
press the pound key.
I was also told the line was full. I hit what's called a queue cap.
Thank you for calling. Due to a high number of calls, we have reached today's maximum number of callers able to speak with a customer service representative.
This is the data the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services provided me for March 14th. The total number of calls to its hotline, nearly 2,500. Nearly 300 callers hung up, and the remaining 2,194 calls were handled. Callers in the queue cap, 0, meaning my call was not counted.
What could inaccuracies in that data lead to?
Yeah, so I think inaccuracies in any of the types of call center data that we get could lead us to make choices about either slowing down or stopping hiring or over hiring potentially.
I asked ODJFS Director Matt Damschroeder about the clear underreporting for the line's rejected calls.
Do you worry that you have any idea or a good grasp of the number of folks hitting that queue cap?
Well, based on this new information, I don't know that we have a complete picture.
State lawmakers put a spotlight on the customer service unemployment hotline, especially after receiving a massive amount of complaints during COVID.
It's clear that we've got to make certain that we've got systems in place where people can get the resources and the responses that they need, especially in vulnerable issues of their lives, in a critical way.
More lawmakers questioned Director Damschroeder about continued problems with the hotline even last year, while taking testimony on the state budget.
I'm hearing horrific stories about people waiting online, get dropped calls, workers not being able to get to them, just a whole morass of problems.
In the last budget, we talked a little bit about customer service levels. As you know, at that time, all of our phones were blowing up.
Now in 2024, I'm investigating how many more rejected calls
Try to call early before the line fills up.
are not being reported in the daily call counts.
Is that concerning that there is a blatant discrepancy?
Oh, very much so. And we'll be talking to our vendor about that in the coming days about why the data that they're reporting to us from their system shows that no one hit queue caps, but individuals are clearly experiencing queue caps. That's a problem that we need to fix.
After our interview, ODJFS tells me Director Damschroeder met with the vendor, Cincinnati Bell Technology Solutions. They've been operating the line since 2012 and is making $2.6 million for hotline services this fiscal year. The vendor admitted a category of rejected calls was left out of the daily counts, and this is what resulted. The actual number of calls on the day I called more than doubled, going from 2,483 to 5,175. The number of calls rejected went from 0 to 2,692. In fact, the number of all rejected calls for the 5 weeks of data we pulled at least tripled with the new tallies, going from hundreds on most days to thousands.
I had no other routes except for, reaching out to you to see if you can rattle trees and figure out what's going on.
In a follow-up email to problem solvers, ODJFS stated the vendor understood our concerns, apologized, and committed to working better with us in the future. And the way the rejected calls are being counted has also changed.
They tweaked it to get now the data, accurate data on a daily basis. Glad that we're looking into it.
I appreciate you raising the issue. We've got to make certain that this issue is mitigated.